Do you consider yourself a jack of all trades, master of none? Well, you might be living in the right time. I'm going to tell you today why it's good to be a jack of all trades. It is a great time. In fact, if you're not a jack of all trades, if you're a songwriter, a singer-songwriter, or if you're a musician, if you're in any creative endeavor, if you don't have an inkling for more than one skill, then you are definitely living in the wrong time. Now is the time, this particular season we're in, for the jack of all trades to come to the fore. And we're going to protest and fight against this notion that we are, jack of all trades, master of none. But as we work harder, we become master of some, and eventually we become master of many. Let me show you how you can, I want to talk to you about that and to show you how perhaps you could expand your singular skill set into many. This conversation is embracing your multi-skilled creative self. Come on, I encourage you to embrace it. The myth of specialization, focusing on one thing. Some people can focus on one thing and be very successful doing it. Tiger Woods, golf, okay, fine. Jack Nicklaus, golf, but he became a great designer of golf courses. So that's another skill, okay? Certain actors in certain professions, you can do that. But in this current world, as a singer-songwriter, forget about it. You need to develop multi-skills. And so it's a myth now to say, or to have this belief that you can just be a singular skilled person. You can be lucky, you can win the lottery. Congratulations if that happens for you. But actually, I think life is so much more joyful when we embrace the other parts of our life, our soul, our brain, and we engage and learn other skills. So the advice to focus on one thing, maybe when I was younger, I would say, yes, that'd be a great thing, but not today. Let me tell you my story and how it happened to me, because when I started off 18, 19, I just had lots of things I was interested in. And some people watching this are the same. To focus on one thing was very, very, very hard for me. It's impossible. Even the way my brain, I'm on the spectrum a little bit. Maybe some people think a lot. And so the learning difficulty of focusing is always a struggle. And focusing on one thing, I get bored. I just did. So even though I'd play guitar and practice guitar for hours and hours a day, I'd think about writing a book, or I'd think about acting in a movie, or I'd think about being in a stage play. I'd think about writing a musical. I thought about so many things, and I dabbled in all those areas. And so what happened for me was, I had a compatriot back in Australia, and his name was Tony Barnard, and a really, really great jazz guitar player. And we started off around the same time. Our dads were both very successful musicians. And we came through that. Now, Tony, within a year or two, just went way past me, because he was focused on being a jazz guitar player in the kind of Joe Pass, Charlie Christian mode. I'm sure he would say they had other influences. And I would play with him a little bit, and it's bit by bit by bit. I was like, just like the hare and the tortoise. I just couldn't do it. And so that aspect of me, I'd lose confidence, because I just couldn't do that. Because even in the music world, I was interested in country music. I was interested in rock and roll, in pop, in folk, in Americana, all these different things. And so when I learned guitar or practice guitar, I'd be learning all those different styles and genres, while Tony and some other friends in the same world just focused on jazz. So you can imagine, if you focus on one style or genre, you'll get better and better and better at everybody else. So it was very much to me like the hare and the tortoise scenario, because I was just very slow. And for maybe the next 4 or 5 years, I carried this sense of like, I'll never make it, because I can't focus on one particular thing at a time. It definitely felt like a disadvantage to me at the time. It was like the hare and the tortoise. But you know the story of the hare and the tortoise? It's a great Aesop's fable. I believe that's true. If it's not a correct Aesop's fable, but the hare and the tortoise, the story of the hare. The hare's, he bets him that he can win in a race, and the tortoise goes, okay, I'll give you a go. And the hare, he's running around, then he sleeps, and he runs around, he has a nap, and meanwhile the tortoise just goes along. And the end of the way, he beats it, because the hare's too busy doing all different things, trying to seem fast. And my life was definitely been like the hare and the tortoise, the jack of all trades. And many, many, many years ago, I thought, I would say I'm a jack of all trades and I'm a master of none. But I learned after a while, I got better at all those other things. I learned how to be a writer. I learned how to be a songwriter. I learned how to play the different styles and genres of country and folk, and I'd practice, and I could play jazz still, and all these different things, and learning how to write for film and television. Gradually over time, this became part of my strength. But in the 20 years, probably took 20 years of all that thing. But I say to you now, you're in the great time to be a jack of all trades, because in the music industry, you need to be one. Compare and despair. That's what I used to do. I used to compare myself to Tony Barnard and different people in my world. Other guys, Michael Horton played sax, great sax player. He also just wanted to play jazz all the time. So they were racing ahead in this area, and I was left behind because I was interested in singer-songwriter. I listened to James Taylor and tried to write songs like Elton John. I love mystery novels, and I tried to write a novel, a story like Raymond Chandler. And I started acting in little theater things, and I started getting involved in film and television, and I wanted to be a composer, so I started studying how to write for orchestras. And so all that time, I was watching my friends get better and better and better at the singular thing, and I despaired. But if you compare yourself to someone else today, you will despair, and you just can't do that. You look around, unless you find someone more like me, right? And there's lots of people like me. Both my sons are multi-skilled musicians. They learnt also because they grew up in this world, this current world, where you're allowed to be. You're allowed to be a songwriter and a composer and a musician and a singer and a performer and an author and a screenwriter. Write a musical. You're allowed to do that because we live in a world where it's almost compulsory. If you don't learn more things, you'll struggle. The other thing to consider about these people that you might be comparing yourself to is they have their path to walk and you have yours. If you're a singular skill person, you'll be looking at this video and going, what's that guy going on about? He's an idiot, right? So this is not the video for you, but if you have multi-skills, or if you're in a place where, like in a singer-songwriter world, where you do need to learn how to record yourself, you do need to learn how to mix a little bit, you do need to learn how to collaborate with other people, they're multi-skills. So if you compare yourself to someone else, Tony Barnard had his own path to walk. Michael Horton had their own path to go. I can think of lots of people in my world, they had their own path and they followed their dreams to be that person. But if you're a multi-creative person, you have to follow that path as well. And so 40 years later, I'm in the place I am. And all those areas I continue to develop. I learned how to be a better writer, screenwriter, composer, mix engineer, blah, blah, blah. Because I gave up comparing myself to someone else. And I just enjoyed creating, enjoyed the different aspects. When I arrived in LA, 92, 93, being a jack of all trade was the perfect thing for me to be, because the singer-songwriter thing had really taken off in LA. Television shows were licensing independent singer-songwriters all the time. Partly it happened because the boom of network television in America, the director would say things like, oh, we want John Mayer, or we want Eric Clapton, we want Jack Johnson on this track. But they wanted like maybe $100,000, let's say. I'm making that number up, but it's a lot of money. And they go, oh, we don't have $100,000, we have $5,000. Go and find somebody that has a song like John Mayer or Eric Clapton or Jack Johnson. And that's where I came into it, because in their world, in that singer-songwriter mode, bluesy guitar player like Eric Clapton or James Taylor, sometimes I'd get placements in TV shows and license my songs, and I started writing songs for them because they could afford me. I charge less. I might charge $5,000. But by having my own little studio at that time, another video I talk about that, I developed my own little studio. I had Reason and Ableton, then I got Logic, had a couple of microphones, guitars, and I learned how to produce myself using all those skills. So I was a writer. I'd been studying writing. I knew how to write for strings. I could do that. I could even mock up samples. I knew how to write for horns. If I get a horn section come in, I could do that. So all of a sudden, I'm in the fore, and that was 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago. And where we are now is even further. A jack of all trades. Jack of all trades. Now we also need to learn how to promote ourselves. We have YouTube, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have tons of models, and they're free to create like videos like this. There's lots of ways. Yeah, we have to do more work. That's what my son Sam says. We have to work harder than we might have done ourselves, the version of ourselves 25, 30 years ago. We have to work harder, but we're also freer. And so when I was signed to a label, I was always told what I could do and what I couldn't do. And one of the reasons why I left them was because I really wanted to work in film and television, and they didn't do that. No, we don't do that market. So I was struggling. I felt I was chained, like locked up. So yes, we have to do more work, but we have so much more freedom. Yes, that's the thing. We have to wear more hats, without a doubt. Okay, so 1 minute I'm the musician, I'm practicing guitar and learning how to play blues and country and Americana, and then I go, all right, I got to write a song. Okay, I got to write a song. Now I got to write a song. And now, oh my God, now I got to record it. And so I don't know what that good recording hat would be. Is this a recording hat? I'm not sure. Oh, now I'm in the studio, and now I've got to produce my track. Okay, I've got to produce a track. Okay, I've got to, yes, I can play bass, I can play guitar, yes, I can play keyboards. I need a drummer, so I get a drummer in, or I buy some loops and I start building a track. Okay, great. Now I've got to mix it. All right, so get my mixing hat on. All right, great. Now I've got to get my little board here and I've got to mix it. I've got to learn, I don't know how to mix. So I go to Warren Hewitt's Produce Like a Pro, and I do a bunch of videos and I go, all right, okay, reverb, EQ, this, compress that, try again, and I get better at it. Okay, now I've mixed it and mastered it, and now I've got to promote the thing and get it out on YouTube and TikTok, or I got to, all these different things. Yes, we have to do many things. We have to wear many hats. And a singer-songwriter 40, 50 years ago, they didn't have to do anything other than write a song and go to the studio, and they had some crazy budget. But that's this many people. That's like that 0.1%. Now we're in a world where all of us have a chance. If we can write a good song, and if we can learn how to make a pretty good demo, and we can make a video and stick it up on YouTube or TikTok, and all of a sudden we've got an audience, if we're good enough, or it hits the mark, or it's of interest to the audience, all of a sudden we've got something going. And yes, maybe some of us can do well if we have a label come on board or a publisher. Yes, those things can be good. But this is a great time to live in. This is a great time to live in if you're a singer-songwriter and creative. There's some other great famous jack of all trades. Leonardo da Vinci. Well, you think of him as a painter, but he was a scientist. You've seen those crazy things about him trying to fly? He's a philosopher. And then there's David Bowie. He's a musician, a songwriter, but an actor and a filmmaker. And there's Maya Angelou, a poet and an author and an activist. I just watched a video last night with Walter Mosley, one of my favorite authors. And then I see his paintings. And it's like, oh my God, they're amazing. So there's lots of people that are jack of all trades, lots and lots and lots, and it's an emerging culture. But if you go back in time, if I could just be Leonardo da Vinci, okay, well, I'll settle for that. I'll aim for that threshold. To be such a successful painter and artist, and to be a scientist, and to consider flying at that time. So he's prophetic. He's seeing into the future. The drawings he has about wings and about air and floating and flying. Okay, so we're in a great time. This is a great time to be a jack of all trades. If you're a jack of all trades right now, or if you're not, you need to be, because you can be more creative, you have more opportunities, and you have more freedom. That's one of the great things. The negative side, yes, you're on your own a bit, and that can be lonely. So therefore, you need to build community and have some friends and collaborate. All those things are very, very important. But on the creative side, as a songwriter, when I was with a label, I had to write the songs they wanted for the market they had, and it was a very narrow market for me. It was too narrow. And I had to write in the alt rock. And I go, well, yeah, but I like jazz, and I like country, and I like rhythm and blues, and I like blues, and I like Americana, and I like folk. I actually like Broadway, some of it, not all of it. But I like writing big emotional, inspirational songs, and I like funky songs. But every time I bring songs, I go, no, we just want that. Okay, I had some success, and that was great, but I got bored. And so now to be independent, I can write pretty much whatever I want. And if I meet an artist from the left or the right, in the middle, and I get interested in their work, I could collaborate with them and write something. I could write a dance song. I could write a hip-hop song. And I do with some of the people I coach and produce. It is so much more fun being an independent producer and an independent artist in this independent music scene. And even to get up and do these videos on YouTube, I am free. I'm allowed to do it. And so are you. Reflection exercises. Where are you at now? And what skills do you have that you've got going? Yep, I'm a jack of all trades. I can write a song. I can record a guitar. Okay, what next? What can you grow in? This is the reflection exercise. Where am I at right now? And where could I grow in? We all can grow. We could all can learn. I was saying to my wife the other day, I just love learning. I just do. I love the process of learning and then the process of trying it out, experimenting, trying new things. If I see like a Warren Hewitt video, or if I see a video of Pharrell talking about production, or I watch some videos with St. Vincent and how she produces, and I go, oh, I'm going to go and try that. Oh, you know, I can experiment with that. I work in film often. I'm using sound design. I'm thinking, oh, this would be great in a song. Let me try that in a song. That didn't work the first time. The second time, maybe it's better. But it's the fun aspect. So what are you willing to learn? What are you willing to grow in? And I would encourage you, start moving forward. Start making a goal. You want to be more like that artist or that singer-songwriter or that producer. What do you need to learn to do it? And that's up to you. Like always, please remember to subscribe. And if you want more information about me, come and check me out on my website. It's a link below. And I hope you get encouraged to be a jack of all trade and start exploring and start having fun and start knocking down doors that may have once been closed to you because they thought you were a jack of all trade, a master of none, and they didn't realize who they're talking to. And you're gradually becoming a master of some, and one day be a master of many. All right. See you around. Cheers.